For July the 24th, 2020, we talk about Ghost of Tsushima, the upcoming Blasphemous DLC, and we ask you which life lessons you learned from games. Welcome to Level 337. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prentice.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome, as we are firmly in the dog days of summer. I don't know technically what those are. I just know that it's
the end of July.
At the end of
around
July.
My birthday.
Oh, yeah. Well, you like dogs, so that's good.
It's any day that has a dog day afternoon.
Also, I happen to be a dog in the Chinese zodiac.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
So this lines up.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. No, I just I
It
again.
lines up. Because I'm also a Leo.
Oh,
yes, I did.
Oh, okay. I did not intentionally say that, but you took it. Okay, there we go.
I rolled with it.
I'm confused.
That's my dad joke.
It's okay.
Yeah, Jala just made a dad joke. What's happening to the world? Okay.
Well played.
Oh man, yeah. So I don't have anything like huge to headline everything here though. So Jala, what's going on?
Well, this morning I got 2 PRs. I got a PR for my squats at 250 pounds for 2. And that's without having a spotter rack or spotter arms or like a spotter or
right.
rack
You could
or any
take
of that.
you could take some risks if you had people around to lift horrible
Yeah.
weights off of
That's
you.
the longest
Just like
tightrope you've walked without a net.
Yeah. Like I take it pretty cautious on those. And then my
Yeah,
deadlifts are up to 300 pounds. So yay.
Nice.
Crap.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Huh? What?
I had a thought on 300-pound deadlifts, but I want to hear what you were thinking first.
Well, my older sister, who's shorter than me, can deadlift 315 pounds.
Hey.
We are monster women. Do not truck with us.
That's right.
Oh.
And you know you're a power lifter if you think of 315 as a nice round number and not 300.
Yes, exactly. That's why it's like, she's in the 3-plate club.
Well,
My big sister, little big sister, whatever.
So forgive me. I don't understand that. We don't need to belabor it, but is that just because of the way that because of the weight of the bar, or because of the weight of the way the plates are distributed?
Yeah, a standard bar is 45 pounds, and then each plate is 45 pounds. So if you are deadlifting 315, that is 3 plates on either side of the bar plus the bar itself.
Gotcha. Okay.
The bar that I use for deadlifts, for anybody who is confused because they have seen my Instagram and see 3 plates on my bar is a short bar, and it's only 25 pounds. So even though there's 3 plates on it, I actually have to put some more weight on it to make it the actual 3-plate weight. So anyway.
Gotcha.
Yes. But also, next Monday is my birthday, so I'm not going to be on the level, but I am going to be doing... Oh, look at you cheering! Because I'm not going to be on the level.
Come on.
Wow, Dennis.
Okay.
The leg got me.
Mask off. Wow.
So anyway, I'm going to be doing 2 pole classes that day and getting vegan ice cream in between. So that's going to be my birthday because I can't have like a celebration. So I'm just going to go get bruised on a pole for a while and then get some ice cream to make it better.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's good. Congratulations on the personal records.
Yeah. Thank you. So what's going on with you guys?
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah. Can we talk for a second about edible cookie dough?
Edible. Okay, so this is cookie dough that is not intended to be made into cookies.
Yes.
It is for consumption in that state, likely without like eggs. Like eggs are the problematic.
Eggs specifically.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's not to be confused with cookie dough edibles.
Yes. Additionally,
Which is
very
what I
important.
was initially thinking he was talking about.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about edible cookie dough edibles.
Oh my god.
No,
Oh,
no,
God.
just edible cookie dough. So I was scrolling some corner of the internet and saw an ad, and I never click on ads, but it was an ad for an edible cookie dough place local to us. And I clicked on it, and guys, I have never had a stronger craving in my life.
Okay.
Like I was magnetically drawn into the computer screen. This was probably like 4 days ago or so. And just I'm not joking. I probably scrolled their website for a half hour,
Okay.
looking at various edible cookie dough porn, and planning out my subscription box for
Oh boy,
what I was going to get. And like this, I wound up, we're not going out a lot right now, etc. And so I put it away, and then Jen ran some errands 2 days ago,
Ooh.
and she comes home. She's like, "All right, I saw you looking at that," and she whipped out, has two quarter cups of edible cookie dough, one brownie batter cookie dough,
Okay.
which I think is just brownie batter. I don't know. Someone correct me on that.
I had no idea.
Doesn't matter. It's delicious. And the second was a lemon sugar cookie dough.
Ooh.
And
that sounds good.
you guys, I sat on my couch. The kids were down for naps. Sat on my couch, ate my lemon sugar cookie dough, and started reading. No, that was when I was watching it on the computer, and started reading Masters of Doom, which is the biography or the story of the two Johns that started, that are the progenitors. I think that's the right word. Of
just
Doom and Quake franchises.
Yeah, John Carmack, John Romero.
Yeah, and it was just a moment of zen. It was fantastic.
Nice.
And I'm still eyeing that subscription. So.
Oh, does Jen know what kind of monster she created?
No, I don't think she has any idea. But I also think being pregnant, she's kind of eyeing it as well. So.
Yeah, that would do it. Yeah, no,
that's the fun we've been having. But yeah, it's just one of those things that was just perfect for it's not a cool treat, but I don't know, something was about it was just felt right.
Yeah.
So that was the most standout experience I had this week, beyond other stuff that we'll talk about elsewhere on the episode.
Is the company smart enough to give the first one away for free?
Yeah, cocaine flavored.
Yeah.
That'd be terrible.
No, I'll stick with my lemon sugar cookie.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
You can just make cookie dough at home, vegan, and you can eat it, and it's no big deal.
So Jen has made in the past a chickpea cookie dough, and it is delicious. It is quite wonderful. Sometimes you just want to. There's something about
having it delivered to you, and you don't have to make it.
Yeah.
That makes it.
I was going to say that it tastes better when you know you're destroying your body for it.
Okay, well that's not a place that I can go.
Yeah.
I build bodies, sir.
That's right. Stay away from the cookie dough joint.
I make my own at home, and it's protein cookie dough. not lying. Not lying.
No, I believe
Yeah.
it.
No, but I think that there's a certain principle, like I can have ice cream at home, right? But ice cream from somewhere else, like if I'm out or a family stopping and grabbing some, the different context, even if it's the same stuff,
Cole.
Yeah.
Cole.
What?
You did that on purpose because I said I was going to go get vegan ice cream on my birthday.
No, you've got ice cream imminent. It would be more cruel if you said there was no ice cream incoming.
Well, I mean, if the place is closed for some reason, I can make it at my house.
Yeah,
But that's okay. It's different. It's different when somebody else makes it, and then you just have it delivered unto you, and you are like, it is perfect.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. I thank you for sharing your little enjoyable moment there.
Mm-hmm. So if I sound like I've spaced out at any point, it's because I'm thinking about cookie dough.
You're thinking about that dough. Yeah. Oh, how are you, Ben?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a nice full day yesterday. I went to Olympic National Park with a friend, and so we left at like 8 a.m. in the morning, and we got back at like 11 or midnight at night, and we saw a bunch of stuff, but I was mighty tired both last night and this morning. So, yeah.
Nice.
Seattle beaches are kind of funny because it's like blue sky, like all the way until you get to the beach. When you get to the beach, the Silent Hill filter flips on. It's like completely cloudy. It's very like, it feels like you're in a video game because the fog distance like cuts everything off beyond the 100 feet. You're like, oh, they just can't render that far out. Okay, whatever. And then as soon as you drive away from the beach, it's back to blue skies again. It's like,
weird.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Atmospheric anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds like fun. I don't have anything nearly as exciting as any of this. I've just been working. Like my family is out. They went on vacation, so like I don't really have anybody in town right now. So it's like I'm seeing even fewer people than usual. So
you've got your work computer.
Yep.
Where did they go on vacation?
On the coast of Virginia. There's a place they go. They're not staying in a hotel. It's like they rent cottages.
Okay.
So it's not like a huge communal kind of thing, and they're social distancing. And when they get back, I'm going to wait 10 days where I go see them, just in case.
Yeah,
just like that.
It's weird how vacations are terrifying now.
Yeah. It's one of those things, right? Like, go ahead.
When you are done, I will tell a little story. Continue.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things where I'm thinking about like, not so much like, yes, vacations are terrifying. And even if I had, just an option to go, I probably wouldn't. But like, it's weird where I am locked down, like, like most people ought to be, right? And I have to like remind myself, like, if I do anything for me, if I do anything for myself, like that is a kindness that I am doing because I am not getting kindnesses elsewhere when I would normally find them ambiently by going and doing things and stuff. But it's hard to shake that feeling that like, no, I don't need that. No, I don't need to do that. So
yeah.
It's weird what you internalize.
There's no one to talk you out of the deeply ingrained Midwestern self-denial.
Yes. So, just a bunch of stuff like that. What were you going to say, Jala?
Well, you see, I've been having a lot of anxiety dreams because my dad is going through a lot of health problems. He was in the hospital and he was recently diagnosed with lung cancer. So I've been having lots of anxiety dreams for various reasons, but last night I had this crazy dream that was actually 100% logical, where my family was going, like me and my parents were going to, I guess, a family reunion or something, and the only place my mom found any spots at a hotel was this place that was like a kind of a destination hotel that was like a haunted hotel, quote unquote, where like all the people who worked there were dressed like creatures like Dracula and Frankenstein's monster and stuff like that. And there were like all these different floors with themed shops and different food court areas and stuff like that, kind of like a Disney resort kind of thing. But then they also had activities like a scavenger hunt that I did and stuff. And the rooms were themed and had crap that popped out at you. And it was hilarious because in this dream, we all, we were shown to our room by a guy who looked like Lurch. And then my parents and I were sitting there, and then suddenly something popped out and they had this spooky music playing, And then my parents were just like, all right, have fun with this. We're going to go somewhere else and find somewhere else to stay, because I was totally entertained and they were just like, well, we paid for this. Have fun with it. Goodbye. So they left me at the hotel for the night, and I just was wandering around exploring, and I didn't really even sleep because I was just like looking and doing all this stuff. So
did you break...
I had a vacation in my brain last night.
Did you break the news to your parents that the dream version of them is lame? Because why wouldn't you be into that?
My parents are like, I want to go to sleep. Good night. That's it. And so it was just really kind of funny. But yeah, I totally had a vacation in my head last night when I was sleeping. So I mean, there's my escape.
Yeah.
Oh, not to lean into the grind, but you haven't been playing Luigi's Mansion, have you?
No, I have not. But like, it kind of has that vibe from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Of it. So, but yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. And I'm like, when I woke up, I was like, this needs to be like a place. You know, like I want to go there sometime.
No, that reminds me of the haunted hotel in Gold Saucer in Final Fantasy VII. Actually, yeah, where they get together and get everybody up to speed on the exposition and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to find one of those places. That'd be cool if it actually existed. Now I'm all wistful thinking about the haunted hotel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, don't be a downer. Let's move on and do some usual kind of show.
Yeah, let's do the usual kind of show. We got we got the usual sections for you. We have the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with the grind? The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Jala, you were not here last time, so I will throw to you first.
Okay, so due to aforementioned things that I already said before, I have not been playing as many games as I normally do. However, I did finish Alternate Jake Hunter Daedalus, The Awakening of Golden Jazz.
Wow.
I'm surprised you can say that without taking a breath in between.
Yeah, I was like, oh crap, I didn't inhale before I started this. I better hurry up.
I got like halfway through writing that and I got tired. Like you have to like typing it into the notes. I'll be back. I'll finish it later. This is the nap
between.
This is the mystery of like the detective visual novel that you had, or adventure game that you spoke about last time you were on.
Yes. So last time I talked about this, I was beginning chapter 3. Well, I finished it, and it is 5 chapters total. So I had like the rest of chapter 3. I was basically about halfway through.
Okay.
So one thing that I found really cool, which is only cool to like the 2 people who watch anime who know anything about that on the show, that listen to the show, but like Akira Ishida is one of my favorite seiyuu, and he plays the antagonist of this game, which is pretty badass because whenever I hear him, I'm like, yeah. Anyway, in the last few chapters, the story, because remember how I was like, I don't know exactly what's going on and stuff is kind of slow. Well, it picks up on the latter half of the game. And the story comes together with a bunch of characters that you think are unrelated are all tying in, which that's pretty cool.
It'd be weird if they didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, like some of them are just characters that you meet because they have some kind of a loose relationship to your grandfather. Because like in this game, for people who didn't listen the last time, you are playing a detective, Jinguji Saburo, and he is in New York trying to figure out who killed his grandfather, who was a private investigator. And so this is like his first case. He's a young man, and he's just now, kind of launching his detective career. This is a prequel to the Detective Jinguji Saburo series, which in Japan spans like 19 mainline titles, 25 mobile games, and who knows how many other tie-ins and other stuff.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to Famicom.
Yes, and in Japan, or in America rather, they renamed it Jake Hunter. I guess that's what they called him. I don't know. But anyway, and they only released 2 games, one on the DS and one on the 3DS. So this is the 3rd game that has come over. And I didn't know that this series existed until I just saw this in the Switch store and was like, what is this? And I played the demo and I said, I think I'm going to pick this up whenever it goes on sale. And it did, so I picked it up. So anyway, so you're trying to figure out who killed your grandfather, and you end up throughout the game unraveling this big plot that your grandfather was in the middle of investigating and trying to come to, some kind of resolution with. And so at the end of the game, like you learn all this stuff, and I don't want to spoil too much. However, there's a bunch of stuff that Saburo doesn't know at the end of the game and is driving me nuts. He never figures out who actually kills his grandfather for sure. He thinks he knows, but he doesn't have confirmation. He doesn't have any idea why a Yakuza boss has a bunch of people, including the parents of some of his friends, on a hit list. He never figured out what happened to Daedalus at the end of the game, the titular Daedalus character. And he just kind of goes back to Japan, and the end cutscene is kind of like Saburo time-lapsing, where he grows from the young man to like an older detective dude and lights a cigarette, and the end. Like, that's it. And the thing is that because there's so many games in this series, I don't know if that's something that's covered in a game that came before that, like long before this, or what, because like it leaves off in such a way that it's like, is this a continuing plot line that I know? I have no idea. I have no exposure to this gigantic series that's been on forever in Japan.
I'm calling it right now that growing old at the end piece was a surprise reveal for fans of the series that this was actually a prequel the entire time.
It is the
Jaws
prequel.
dropped. See?
Well, anyway, I have no idea if in any of those other 50 million games, whether or not it loops back to explain it. Or if Saburo just doesn't ask questions and he's just like, all right, well,
that's a really weird tack for a detective to take.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But so anyway, I was curious enough though that I looked up the DS and the 3DS games, and boy, they look like an old text venture game, but without the inventory screen. Mm-hmm. They look like that's how they play, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this is like the right kind of nostalgia feeling to get me interested in playing these.
Right.
The 3DS one is real dramatic and has voice acting in it too, so that looks promising. I'm definitely interested in playing them, and I'm sure I'll be picking them up and adding them to my backlog to play sometime whenever I get there. But I ended up landing pretty much like, maybe this is not the strongest entry for this series, but I'm glad that I played it as it introduced me to the series as a whole, and I am definitely interested in pursuing the older titles that are, probably more in the vein of how all of the other games play.
Right.
So I'm kind of interested to see how that game loop goes for me.
So it's interesting to me because that kind of ending on the first playthrough of a like mystery Visinov kind of game is not uncommon, because a lot of times there will be mechanics where like you only get the full story once you've gone through it a couple times. But it sounds like that's not the case.
Actually, now that you mention that, I read somewhere there's precious little about this game, like insofar as like walkthroughs or detailed information guides or anything out there on the net. But I read somewhere that there are multiple endings. So it might just be that I didn't get the canonical ending, the best ending or something. I'm not going to go through the entire game again to go figure out if I did or not, because I don't like enough how this game plays to be like, oh man, I got to go back through it. Like maybe one of the DS or the 3DS looks like those would be the kind of game that I would want to replay more often. Mm-hmm. Just from glancing at them, they just seem to hit the right spot for me. But I think when they switched it to like this visual novel format, that actually made it weaker. Like it doesn't come off quite as well. It's a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
But I am interested to go onto the YouTubes and see if somebody else has other endings, and maybe they have like all endings revealed or something. I don't know though, because there's not that much out there for this game.
There usually is, even for really obscure stuff. There might be somebody yammering over it, but it's possible they're going to find something and see what you missed out. The ending that you described sounds baffling for a prequel.
Yeah.
Like, they might be introducing mysteries that are solved, in the games that that came out earlier, but are later in the, in the timeline. But like, I don't know, kind of seems like a prequel ought to end on something familiar and set up familiar things, as opposed to just kind of leaving you hanging.
It ended on the familiar. Here's the older detective dude smoking. Something that's your common thread. He smokes.
No, but like something substantially familiar.
I know.
Right?
I know. I'm teasing. So, but I am definitely curious enough to want to go back and play the other games. And I bet when I do, like, I just have a feeling that when I do play the older titles, that I'm going to be like, boy, that newer version is such a shame that that's the one that probably most people are going to see because it's not very strong, but these other ones are more entertaining to play, as I'm guessing how it's going to go when I get there. But anyway, I did not play anything else. However, it was on my docket to finish Resident Evil Revelations, and then, Cole, you streamed it. Yeah. So I didn't have to because I watched you do it. And I say that because all the stuff that I played through up to the part where I ended starting in Chapter 9 was really good. You came across, Cole, some weird glitches in your Steam copy that I didn't have at all in my Switch copy. So you had several glitches, and then there were more glitches after that that happened on your Steam copy. I will just tell you, for posterity's sake, those don't happen on the Switch.
Okay.
At least through the part that I played.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah. I don't want to steal all of your thunder or anything about the game, but the plot kind of turns round and round. And honestly, I'm less interested in finishing the game since I already saw the end of the game. Yeah. And I'm more interested in starting Revelations 2 to see where the story goes, because they just had so much stuff going on near the end there that it's just like they leave a lot there to set up for the next installment. So I really kind of just want to see where it goes from there, especially since like some of the ending had weird pacing and had like kind of a war of attrition unless you know how to dodge, which you were struggling with controller issues.
Yeah.
So that made it harder.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to apologize. I didn't intend to like swoop in and finish the game for you. I figured you would be done.
Okay. I nobody could have foreseen my father going to the hospital and all these bombs being dropped on my life. So, you know, it happened. Yeah. I thought I was going to be able to, the last 4 chapters go by pretty quick, and I could have gotten them done theoretically if I didn't have everything blowing up. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah. So I continued to be really into the variety in the game. The number of different characters that you that you play as, like the different places that you can go. Although in the back half of the game that does dry up a little bit. To the point where one of the chapters is just the same as a previous chapter but done in reverse.
That was pretty crap.
They pull a braid?
I mean, so not precisely. It's just like, so it's a flashback to kind of one of the inciting incidents for the story. And in the first one, you go from like a conference room, like up to like an observation deck kind of thing. And then in the second one, you go from the observation deck back down to the conference room kind of thing.
Well, and not only that, but like it comes after this really dramatic big fight that should have been like, if not the end boss, like your next to the ending boss, and then suddenly interject a flashback with no sense of pacing whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah, like okay, we're going to send this back, and think like, okay, they're going to reveal something about the story. There really isn't anything revealed about the story, which is odd. Considering the title is Revelations. It's just a weird pacing decision that sucked the wind out of the sails, notwithstanding the fact that the actual conclusion was a real bummer. It ends on an underwater, it's a swimming level and a stealth level when you've not really done much of any of that before.
Maybe the game was supposed to be like a biblical reference in that it doesn't make any sense.
Right. But the final boss fight was a real problem, just because of what it asked of you and how long it was. And, I died a few times in a way that didn't feel like it was strictly my fault.
And the best part, not for you, but for everybody in the chat, was you saying, I just want to go to sleep. So you could sleep.
We were
just like,
we were past the 2 hours that I normally I normally stream. So I really did just want to go to sleep. I was tired.
I know.
Yeah,
I know it was late for you.
So
that was a lot of game. So
No. So like, I'm really happy that I played it. You know, it's just like that is on the vanishingly small list of like Resident Evil games that I have not played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like really the only other things that are on that are like maybe some of the light gun games and like any of the online squad shooters, Operation Raccoon City or whatever any of those are. But it's one of those things where it's like, if you look at it as a game that was initially made for the 3DS that Capcom brought all of their production chops to bear for, it's really impressive. But the problem is the majority of people are not going to be playing that, you know, playing it that way anymore.
Yeah.
So it kind of exists as almost this, you know, weird half product kind of thing. You know, I don't necessarily feel like the story was essential. It didn't feel like it really set up for a lot of for a lot of anything. So it's a strange thing. I enjoyed streaming it, and I liked putting on the show for people. I'm curious about Revelations 2, specifically because of the characters who are involved in that. That seems like a little bit more fan servicey. Not because of like outfit reasons, but like, I don't know. I'd like to play as Claire again. I'd like to play as Barry again. But then again, like it was cool to play as Jill and Chris working together. That was fine. Oh my gosh.
My gosh, what?
No, just that there's one particular scene that I want to talk about because it's fucking ridiculous.
Okay.
Whole game takes place on a cruise ship. One of the things that they find, you know, in this big derelict cruise ship that is full of mutants is that the terrorist group has a lab kind of like hidden in one of the levels of the cruise ship. So you get inside, and what you see is that they have a big tank of the virus, just this red liquid. Okay. That's
the standard measurement unit for viruses, which is tanks.
Yes, it is a tank of virus or viral medium or whatever. And it's not just, you know, in the tank in the middle, but like it's a gigantic chamber. Basically, like think like a like a shark habitat at SeaWorld full of red danger water, which like,
and also you're in the tube looking at all the danger water, and there's big critters in the danger water trying to break through the glass
so
at you.
Notwithstanding that, like, there's pipes, you know, circulating this, and it would aerosolize, and they, you know, everybody would be infected immediately. You get to the center of this chamber, and you manufacture some vaccine, and Jill injects it, and she's good. Immediately, like the window on the tank breaks, and you have to swim through several rooms full of this danger water, just viral medium, and you just emerge, catch your breath, and like, okay, we gotta go. Just the idea that you're swimming through just virus is so fucking dumb.
It is so Resident Evil. Oh my god, it was hilarious.
It's dumb even in the context of being Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to have the context sell it short.
Yeah. Well, I definitely really liked the character of Parker, who is this kind of middle-aged, a little slightly paunchy guy who is Jill's partner at the beginning of the game and kind of bounces around throughout. And so, like, for Parker's sake, I must play Resident Evil Revelations 2 and see what happens and if he gets drawn back in or whatever. But, so anyway, like, I found a character I hate worse than Ada, for anybody who's counting. I hate Jessica more than I hate Ada.
Yeah.
So,
not good.
But anyway, like, the thing is that, the story for this game is set in the context of, you know, between chapters of the mainline game, but it has no lasting impact, is I think what you were really saying about it, that it doesn't have any lasting impact on Jill or Chris or anybody, except for maybe setting Chris up for Jill, like, freaking out.
But even that, like, you go through that in RE5 and like in the DLC, like that is more, you know, like the epilogue in this that kind of shows what happened to, you know, Jill and Chris afterwards, like, is them going into that Spencer mansion where they're drawn in.
Yeah, and that's really where all of that stuff happens anyway. But yeah, so but still, the things that I like about this game, even though, okay, when I recommended it to you, I had not played the junky part. I had only played all the fun stuff. So I like the fact that there is such variety to it. The fact that it was a 3DS game threw me the hell off, because it's really got a lot of high production value for, that system. If I had played
the music, weirdly enough.
Oh boy, that was some drama music. But yeah, like if I had played it on the 3DS, I would have been like, "This is amazing." Yeah. But although also I might have maybe hated it because the controls on the 3DS would have made some of that pretty gay.
I'm happy to have played it with a controller.
Yeah, but still, there's a lot to recommend the game, at least for first half of it and raid mode and whatever. But I'm glad to have played it as much as I have. I will probably go back and play the rest of it at some point, but like right now, I'm not really interested in frustration for obvious reasons. Like I'm in that camp that I seem to very often be in, where I'm like, I need something very calming and relaxing. I don't want twitchy, frustrating fights. So like I don't know what I'm going to be playing next. It might be Revelations 2 until it starts getting frustrating, but it might be something else that is not an action game. We will see what happens with that.
Nice.
But,
anybody have any questions about Resident Evil Revelations?
I think you covered it.
Okie doke. I've not been doing an awful lot else. We really gave ourselves a bit of a rough summer when we put Tactics Ogre and Disco Elysium right next to each other on the schedule for Watch Out for Fireballs. So I have been neck deep in Disco Elysium and really enjoying it, but I don't know that there's an awful lot that I can say right now. Do you have any questions kind of about, so to give you an impression, I just started the third day and I have done the kind of back and forth between one of the people staying in the hotel and the security workers.
Okay.
So like I know some things specifically about the victim, but there are lots of things that are still eluding me.
Yeah. So one of the tough things is, since I think it's like asymmetric for people, where it's like you can finish the game either on like day 6 or you can finish it on day like 20. Mm-hmm. So like it's hard to tell pacing from the day marker, but I'm curious to know like what sort of loadout you're going with and like what sort of stats you're going with.
So my character, from the beginning, I picked the emotional and intuitive build.
Okay.
Where Inland Empire is my kind of main skill, which is kind of the way that they conceptualize imagination. Specifically. So like everyday objects are talking to me a lot of the time. But yeah, like I find myself pretty consistently passing like empathy checks and like shivers and esprit de corps, just kind of like getting a lot of like nonverbal communication, whereas kind of my intellect abilities, specifically like logic and rhetoric, like I'm shoring them up with skill points and stuff, but it's it's so far it seems impossible to really screw yourself if you have bad stats and you fail one of those checks. It just kind of seems like you're always failing forward, which is nice. But there's always the fear of missing out if you fail a check, and it's hard to like learn to roll with it. But yeah, I am kind of rolling around as basically a cop who has ESP and kind of goes back and forth between being fixated on socialism and the end of the world. So
sounds about right.
Yeah. so that's roughly what I'm doing. Yeah.
And I'm also curious to know, like, what was your ramp up time in the game? Like, did you find yourself having trouble at the beginning and like failing a lot of checks and like dying like early on, or?
No, I never really died. I've not died yet, actually. I think that I had read some stuff about like, yeah, you want to make sure you at least have some, oh gosh, what is it, like morale and health, together. and I've not necessarily bottomed out on any of those just yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like when I went and talked to the union leader and he made me sit in the uncomfortable chair, I didn't die of a heart attack. Like I know sometimes happens for people.
I died of a heart attack a lot at the beginning of the game. When all intellect and no physique at all.
I was going to say, what? Yeah, is it just those stats that go into it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like 4 categories of stats, and like your like cognitive ability and your like physical endurance are like in 2 different categories.
Yeah. And like physical stats, like it is not just the domain of, you know, like, hey, can I push this big heavy thing out of the way, or am I good at fighting? Like they actually just like represent different systems or aptitudes. So if you have really high endurance is a character kind of inside your head among this pantheon of other, you know, all of the skills that kind of talk to you and inform stuff, like endurance and like pain threshold and stuff like that will let you read people and understand when they're uncomfortable, you know, with a particular thing. Like your reaction speed isn't just your dexterity, like it can also like help you come up with something to say really quick or recognize when you catch somebody off guard. So because this is a game that is like mostly about conversation and mostly about you know, just about the way that your character perceives the world and trying to get information out of people, like what would normally seem like, oh, I'm speccing a character for combat is not necessarily the case. It is just a different kind of intelligence that you're giving your main character.
I feel like for the reaction speed, I feel like there's a gratuitous number of times where you can try and catch an object that another character throws you.
Yeah. But I love it. It's a really fun game so far. You know, I've talked about it. I've tweeted about it a few times. Probably, you know, it makes little sense to talk about it here because we're going to talk about it on WAF, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask questions, Ben. Also to report in, and, you know, in case anybody was worried, no, this game fucking owns. It's very good. So, yeah. Any questions about Disco Elysium?
That's a game that I wish I could watch you stream as well, but I know you can't stream everything.
Right. It'd be fun to fire it up and make some different choices. I would probably do a slightly more unhinged cop than I am playing as right now. You know, just because I'm, you know, for all I said about the end of the world stuff earlier, I'm still relatively straight laced. Like I've not really indulged in any drugs. Like I've kept that at bay. You know,
have you unlocked Boring Cop?
No, I have not unlocked Boring Cop. I
was Boring Cop.
Yeah, I am Cop of the Apocalypse. So
nice. Yeah.
Apocalypse.
Yep. Oh man. Yeah. So that has been me. Ben, how about you?
I only got one, and I can't talk at length about it because I only played it for like maybe half a day or so.
Okay.
But I picked up Ghost of Tsushima and started playing that game.
Oh, cool.
Came out on Friday. I'm only maybe about an hour or 2 into it. So I think I need to play it longer before I can actually say anything substantial about it. Maybe I'll just talk about the mechanics a little bit of it.
Okay.
It seems like for the most part, it's trying to be like an Uncharted-esque game, but it's like set in Japan, which sounds like, like sign me up. That sounds like a sweet idea. So far, like the only kind of systems I've engaged with, there's a sword fighting system, which is pretty enjoyable. It seems similar to like maybe like a God of War type system. You know, I guess a lot of people call it like a Dark Souls game, but it's like you have like maybe like a weak attack, strong attack. There's a parry system, and then there's a parry system and a block system. So I guess does that sound like a Dark Souls game? Or?
To an extent, I think the comparison that I saw was it's a little bit more close to like an Assassin's Creed kind of game.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. There's like this weird mechanic they have where eventually the game starts to open up where you can kind of like roam around. There's this weird mechanic that they have though, which they like have already like shoehorned in the game like 3 or 4 times, where it's a like showdown system where you like challenge somebody and call them out, and then you have this like mini game where you hold triangle and they approach you, and when they draw their blade to try and attack you, you have to release triangle to like slash them before they slash you.
Do an Iato draw kind of stuff. That's like a classic, that is a thing in samurai movies, because it is also a thing in Western movies. And I do not know which did it first, the quick draw or the Iato, popularizing those in media, but they are interrelated, very strongly tied. Yeah.
So it's like as a game, it's like it's kind of like a little bit of a break in the gameplay, but like as following the theme, it's pretty cool. So I'm still trying to learn some of the systems of how they work. Like it has this kind of like vague stealth system. I don't want to say too many negative things about it since I haven't played more than an hour or two of it. The one like kind of set piece that I've played where you're kind of like sneaking through a village is somewhat clunky, where it's like one of those things where it's like you walk up a foot behind a person and like they don't notice you at all. It's like pretty clear like where the gates are and that sort of thing. So and they try and do like the Uncharted formula where it's like you have a companion, they open gates for you, you walk through them. That's how they load the next area of the map, like that sort of thing.
Yep.
A loading screen companion.
Yeah, it is kind of like a bummer that it's that sort of mechanics kind of popping up all over the place now, and it's just like it's starting to get kind of tired, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder when that's going to go the way of like the elevator that moves very slowly, or the door that like there's like a little meter on it that fills up, like just those kind of tricks to hide loading screens only tend to stick around for about 5 or 7 years and then they go away. I'm curious what they're going to do after this.
Yeah. Well, with the new generation, the whole idea is there shouldn't be nearly as much a need for that as there has been.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll only increase fidelity and content and everything. So they'll need to come up with new ways to do it.
Yeah. They're not going to optimize for seamlessness. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think other than that, I haven't really learned too much other than that. There's like they have this like health system where it's like they call it focus. I think it's going to double up as other things later, but you have this like focus meter where as you kill people, it fills up, and then you can use it to exchange it for health. And again, I think there will be other mechanics that you can spend it on besides that in the future. You get to pick a horse early on in the game. You get to pick the color. It gives you the warning screen where it says, "This will be your horse for the rest of the game. You better be sure of it."
Commit to horse.
Yeah. So I don't know. So yeah, the style of it seems really cool, and I like that aspect of it. That's something that's very unique. All the other mechanics so far, it seems like I've seen in other places. So I'll be curious to see like kind of how it evolves and what sort of unique things you can do in the game that are related to the theme.
Yeah.
So.
Are you playing it in full color mode, or are you playing it in Kurosawa mode?
I am playing in full color mode because I did not know Kurosawa mode was a mode that existed. So.
Yes. Yeah. That was kind of part of its marketing. They, have what is apparently a very good black and white mode put into it. I've got no opinion about what the right way to do it would be. Like the full color screenshots that I've seen look pretty fucking gorgeous. So, probably you wouldn't want to miss out on that, but the black and white looks pretty cool too. So,
yeah, I think I'll probably play in full color mode, but then that reminds me, I think I might watch Mad Max in black and chrome edition tonight. So.
That'd be a good way to do it.
So I don't want to pull us all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, but I didn't want to break your flow in the moment. You talked about that quick draw mechanic.
Yeah.
And you've unwittingly touched on one of my biggest wish fors in terms of a game mechanic, which is, you see in all kinds of different anime and stuff like that, where the character, clicks the sword out and then suddenly they're on the other side of whoever they're attacking. And then, they've moved so fast you can't see. And I just want a game built around the idea of you dodge into place to line up as many people as possible, click, place yourself on the other side, and then slash through them. And as you get stronger, you can do multiple slashes in a row and all that stuff. Like that doesn't have to be high fidelity. I just want that game out there. So
I think they had a similar mechanic in Dragon Age Inquisition. The rogue class in that, I think, got more damage if you stab people in the back. And I think they had like a moveset where they spawn behind the person, like you jump to the other side of them and attack.
Just kind of shadow. That's a Dishonored style deal.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like positioning wise, like drawing a straight line through as many enemies as possible.
Yeah. So this is not precisely that, but the Shinobi game for PlayStation 2 had a system that is weirdly close to what you're describing.
There we go. Okay, I got a lead. Awesome.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was basically like a mark and execute system a little bit, but the entire system was about kind of getting through crowds and crowds of enemies in an efficient way using that, like a limited amount of limited amount of like endurance that you have for it. Nice. That was a good game. Really, really hard, but very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
many games are.
Yeah. But Ghost of Tsushima, you are going to continue playing it, though.
Yes.
Cool. Nice. And that was all you had?
Unless you want me to talk about Rocket League.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Not that I don't want to hear about it, but it'd be cool to hear what Dennis has to say. Hey, Dennis, what you been playing?
Hey. Yeah, it's weird. This week I realized I've spent a lot more time watching family members play video games than I have playing video games myself.
Okay.
And I am all about it. Yeah, I am fine with that. So the big new one that I'll talk about, and this is just a couple days old, so it's kind of more of a first impression, is Jen picked up Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Okay.
The turn-based strategy game. And as a diehard XCOM fan, watching family members with no background in turn-based strategy like get their first exposure to the medium was just a thing of wonder.
Do I need to come and help you like gather up some possessions that have been thrown on the front yard?
It came close a couple times, and Ben, you would be so proud of me. Like I did not correct or point stuff out or anything. I kind of let them go through it. Which this has become our life. We're playing Minecraft Dungeons together now as well, and Luke and Milo watch that. So a lot of the games we play as a family is me and Jen doing something co-op, and then Luke and Milo shouting at us at what we're about what we're doing wrong. And so just a constant barrage of no, there, and of course there could be anywhere.
Right.
So they kind of did the same thing to her as she was learning it. So I figured she had enough encouragement. She was going. But it really revealed how many things are just assumptions that I've internalized because I've played turn-based strategy games forever, but really aren't something you would intuitively get. So the first couple of missions, Jen didn't use cover herself at all. And I noticed the tutorial says enemies will hide behind cover, but it doesn't say anything about you getting bonuses from cover.
That's weird.
So even the people making the tutorial assumed, I guess I'd seen too many turn-based strategy games. Now, thankfully, it was balanced where she didn't really need to. She could just bum rush everyone in the first couple levels. And then by the time it got a little harder, she noticed it and figured it out. But there's that. There's just all the thoughts and if-thens that go into planning out a turn. But I also saw a way where my ingrained XCOM kind of biases would have hurt me, which is I'm watching a level or a turn, and I'm like, oh man, this is really difficult because there's a flanking bonus right now, but you don't want to get pinned down. And so you'd have to move out of the way. But if you move, then you've got no shot. And what do you do? And then Jen just very simply shoots first and moves second, which is something you can't do in XCOM. And I've just been beaten down that if you shoot, it ends your turn for so much time.
You have to invest skill points to do that, to be able to move after you shoot.
Yeah. Is there? There are some skills. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so that's just a thing you can do in Rabbids. And I would have played, I guarantee you, the entire game without moving after I shot, had I not seen Jen do it first. So, that's been really cool. It is my first impression is that it is much more of a, bespoke curated experience than XCOM is. XCOM is turn-based strategy that is built around just an unfeeling, series of systems. And it's like you either sink or swim in this ocean, but the ocean does not care about you. It was not made for you. Good luck.
There's not like in XCOM, there is not a defined sequence of laid out levels that you have to go through in order. It's just this kind of mission that might be on this kind of map with enemies that match, a couple of different things, but will usually match where you're at in your tech tree.
exactly. And so, yeah, Kingdom Battle is much more like, hey, this level is very cleverly set up to give you an interesting challenge. And that means there's more of a right answer to the challenge than not sometimes. But still, the cleverness and the delight that goes into it is a lot more consistent than in something like XCOM. So I've appreciated it on that front.
Yeah.
Final thing that's been fun to watch is the oh shit moment that you have when a new enemy type shows up that you were just woefully unprepared to deal with. Like that's universal across turn-based strategy games.
Yeah. But like, is it equivalent to like when the chrysalids first come out in XCOM?
Yeah. So there's a big, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a big like slab wielding guy that comes in Kingdom Battle, and literally Milo at one point is like, okay, just turn it off
I can't deal with this right now. Sleep.
Yes, it'll be you understand real fear and you will overcome, my son. You might have to save scum, but you will overcome. No. So that's been fun. I've played a very limited. I've gotten through the tutorial myself, and then otherwise, I've just watched them play. There is a co-op mode, but it's basically puzzle levels where you control 2 allies and your partner controls 2 allies. There are no restrictions on who goes when. You can pass turns off, so it's effectively like just the same game, just arbitrarily handing control of 2 characters over to one player versus another.
That's cool.
So lots of fun times to come on that. I've also watched Luke play farther in Pokemon Sword. And we've talked before about his concept of money in the game versus in real life and in the expansion pack, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Like he weirdly treats. I mean, he treats money in the game like he thinks of money in real life, right?
Yeah, like in a world where most currency is digital, I get it,
Yeah.
But the Nintendo very cleverly has put a little button for the expansion pack on the pause screen. So anytime you pause, it's just sitting there waiting for you to click on it. And I've told Bleak, that's more once you're finished with the game, then we can go and buy the expansion pack. And I'm happy to do that. But he keeps on asking, like, have I earned enough money now to buy it? And it's like, okay, well, first off, not really earning money. We'll come back to that. Second off, not done with the game yet.
Right.
But he's gotten to the point he's got 7 out of 8 gym badges, and he's knocking on the door of number 8.
Okay.
And what I've realized is his concept of Pokemon is that the game ends when he beats that 8th gym.
Oh, so he's like pre-grieving? Like he doesn't know if he wants to step over the threshold?
Well, he's asking, can we buy the expansion pack now? Because I'm almost done.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to, like, without spoiling or pushing, be like, well, I don't think that's the end of the game. And he's like, well, it's not the end of the game now, but after the 8th gym, Dad, it's going to be the end of the game. So can we buy the expansion pack? It's like, I try to be like, well, you remember Charon Rose? There's like this mystery going on, and if you look at the map, you can see on the map that we're only about halfway through the map.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I know, but there's only 1 gym left, so we should probably buy the expansion pack. And I am just like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you can tell there's a lot of game left after the gym badge competition.
Yeah.
And I am just relishing the idea of his mind being blown by finishing the gym competition and then having the world go off the rails. Like, that is a moment we are building to, and I am here for it. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
The other fun thing that happened is we need to do some grinding for that final gym, the dragon gym. And so, he kind of knows the deal. Let's go out in the wild and everything. He's like, I think we're just going to go home. And he goes back to Wedgehurst, your original town, back and visits his mom in the house, and then proceeds to literally spend the half hour he's got to play the game derping around Wedgehurst, earning literally 1 EXP per battle. And I'm sitting there and be like, we need to be doing like 800 XP per battle to make progress.
We're not, we have quotas to meet, son.
This is not. But again, one of those moments where it's a lazy weekend. We're hanging out. He's having fun, just stomping Spearows into paste, and it's all good. So that's been fun playing that game. But yeah, so that's your Poke update.
Is he like toying with them and like making them confused for a long time?
No, I guess the version of that would be he has, I forget the name of the move, but it hits first and it makes your enemy flinch, but it only works on the first turn. He's got a Pokemon that has that. So he always uses that move first because that's the only time it's good. But at this point, it's powerful enough that it also kills anything that he
right. Okay, so like he's not drawing it out. You don't have a Pokedexter on your hands.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Starts with animals.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so that's Pokemon. And then the other game that I played and finished was a physical card game, so which I figure I'll take the liberty of talking about.
Okay. Real
quick here, I played and beat the Arkham horror card game.
I
Solo.
thought for sure you were going to say Deck of Wonders. I was
like,
yeah.
Man, I would love to meet the genius Adonis who designed this game.
Yeah. Ben, I haven't given you the courtesy of a lead-in on Deck of Wonders in so long. Why would I start now? I just start talking about that. Yeah. So Arkham Horror, the card game, it's a solo game, so there's a correlation. And I guess I shouldn't say I beat it because I lost the final mission of the campaign. It was very close. Like it was one of those things where I knew it was my last turn. I knew I wasn't going to be able to survive another enemy phase. And if I passed every single one of, I think it was like 4 checks in a row, there was a chance. Which is to say, functionally, there was no chance, right? But it was within the realm of possibility that I won. And I think I made the first 2, lost the third, and then lost the fourth. So, but it was fun. I enjoyed my time with the game. Very, very atmospheric and thematic. In terms of like, the whole Cthulhu-verse being the theme. And I don't know if that was always to the game's credit mechanically. Like, there are a lot of denial mechanics in the game where you will lose a turn or lose a move action or, lose tokens. And it's just a penalty, it's like something bad happened. You lose, in addition to health, you lose this other stuff.
A Wonka mechanic.
Yeah. And when there's and you have no agency to respond, it's just like you lost that. Sorry. And so I can see that mirroring the frustration and feeling of helplessness that is endemic to that universe, but at the same time that's not fun to experience. And I think there are ways of doing a disempowerment fantasy that aren't so completely denial based or don't remove you so completely from agency. Now obviously the game was well enough balanced within all that I was right on the verge of winning, so it's not like I got destroyed because of it. It just felt bad every time that happened. And then the other thing that I have had confirmed to me changes as you get expansions for the game is I would build this deck of cards and spend hours poring over different ways I might build my deck and being very thoughtful about that. And then in a given scenario, I don't think I ever got more than a third of the way through my deck, which, when you invest that much care into what's going in, you want to see the stuff that you put in one way or another. And most card games are designed so that either you are getting most of the way through your deck or you have enough duplicates that you're likely to see a tool that you put in. Yeah. And unfortunately, neither of those things is the case here, which again, in expansions, apparently there's more draw and you're more likely to get further through your deck. And I could see a thematic rationale of, okay, this is mirroring the idea that you don't really have a plan. You're kind of scrapping and improvising with whatever's around you. Like that is reinforced by the mechanics in a way. But again, I don't think the fun was there. So those are my 2 critiques on what was otherwise a very fun game. And I think I'm going to go play something else next in terms of the physical realm. But I could see myself coming back to it. So, that was my one night where I was playing on my own.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And yes, of course, lots and lots of Deck of Wonders. I'm starting to demo it to lots of content creators and stuff. So videos are coming out. Go check it out. We're revealing art. It is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I tend to find most of that stuff on Twitter, so I doubt that you're present there with that. I'll just move on to the next section of the show.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Okay. That was an easy up, but I respect your restraint for not taking it.
I thought you were digging, so I was gonna roll with it. But yeah, Deck of Wonders on Twitter with underscores between the name.
Yeah. Cool. Did you have anything else?
Those are my 3.
Cool.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, you put the question up this week. What did you ask the nice people?
Yeah, I wanted to know about video games and life and how video games impact life. So I asked, what is a lesson that you've taken from video games that you have been able to broadly apply to the rest of your life?
Yeah. I'll get us started here with Ollie, who says, practice makes perfect. I trained as a scientist, and a part of that involved lowering myself to do some biology work. Just a little bit of shade for any biologist listening. In genetics, a lot of great work can be accelerated by working with bacteria, etc., with short reproduction life cycles. Trying in a video game is like the personal development equivalent of that. Something like Dark Souls is a great example. Start section, get wrecked. Restart, get wrecked. Repeat. 40 times later, get a lot further before getting wrecked. Eventually, Capper Demon, you are the one who has wrecked, son.
Time for the reckoning.
So, if you take that lesson into your real life, don't give up. Because each setback helps you get a little further. It is a great mentality to have. Too long don't read. Don't give up, you wimp. little bit of harsh, a little bit of tough love there. That's fine.
Yeah. And a good lesson.
Mm-hmm. Into it, especially from the Dark Souls angle. Perseverance. Jala, what does Ruki say?
Ruki says, huge fat evil men can't die without flashing red and or yellow first. As a paramedic, this information comes in handy when performing triage.
Oh, you
Real
baby.
answer.
Your weak spot isn't even exposed.
Real answer, the importance of having a plan. For example, the plan is to throw fireballs at Zangief to keep him away and throw out a dragon punch when he tries to jump over it. If that doesn't work, then I can switch to something different, like using high-priority normal strikes to keep him out of throw range and frustrate him into making mistakes. Without a plan, I'd just be doing moves at him and hoping they work. Just like in life, there's a big difference between deviating from your plan and not having a plan to begin with.
Yeah. I like that as well. I would not have put that into the context of a Street Fighter game, but that is because I'm not a planner when I play Street Fighter. I'm a reactor, and that's why I'm bad.
That's why you're explosive.
Ben, what does David say?
David says, the value of research. In video games, this was me spending a lot of time on my class forums and WoW, finding people who knew what they were talking about and absorbing useful info. 2020, being able to sift through loads of junk to find important info has continued to be a skill worth developing.
Yeah. Research is huge. Shit. That helped me when I was, doing research for a job,
Mm-hmm.
when I was at that fucking agency. Yeah. Nice.
I like the universality of hating places that you used to work at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everybody is willing to burn those bridges, which is it's a value proposition that I bring.
Still doesn't change people hating their old job, whether they burnt the bridge when they left or not.
Right.
Then I don't hate any of my old jobs.
Oh.
Okay, then.
You know what they say, if you don't hate any of your old jobs, you are the old job.
What? I don't even know.
Okay.
Dennis, what does Stuart say?
Stuart says, don't fall into the trap of results-oriented thinking. When randomness is part of any decision, you can make all the right choices and still have things turn out badly. The key is to focus on the value of those decisions and not just their result.
Yeah, I like that.
I think this is a big one.
Yeah, take a Witcher approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really enjoy that. Let me see here. Greg writes, life is not black and white. There are shades to everything, and you will be well suited to stop and think before you do something. Look and listen, consider and analyze. Keep in mind people and their motives are complex, and then act with all of that in mind. Video games tend to oversimplify this greatly, but there are a few that get it right, like the Fallout games. Yeah.
Good stuff right there.
Yeah. Everything's more complicated than it first appears. Let's see, Jala, what does Roop say?
Roop says, everyone has their place in the world and are meant to do something. See, Thomas was alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What a great game. Every time I see Thomas Was Alone, I'm like, oh, it's been too long since I've thought about Thomas Was Alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe not played. I don't know that I would go back and play it again, but what a great game.
Very pleasant. I like that. It's a good game. Let's see, Ben, what does Casey say?
Casey says, one of my favorite quotes from Fallout New Vegas, who you are comes from the choices you make when life gets tough. Whiskey Rose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Dennis, what does Michael say?
Yeah, this was a battle between the dead money, end quote, about letting go of the dream of the Sierra Madre Casino from Fallout New Vegas and BioShock. It's tough, but BioShock came at a time in my life when I finally started realizing that no extreme viewpoint is worth the harm it can cause. There will never be a perfect system because humanity is continuously struggling to overcome itself. Andrew Ryan's unchecked pure capitalistic society and Sophia Lamb's pure socialistic society are ideals that will never come to pass. It's not necessarily the systems themselves that cause the problems. It's humanity's unchecked greed and hoarding of power that throws everything into chaos. Capitalized chaos, mind you. And for the love of God, please don't get me started on all the problems with Infinite. If American exceptionalism of Colombia can become so powerful that it destroys reason and common sense, well, at least in this dimension, I'm seeing some disturbing parallels. Yeah, they called that one. That is for sure.
Oh, geez.
There's also one more.
Is there? Did it come through? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
At the buzzer.
Yeah. I'll allow it. Let me get down to the bottom here. There we are. And finally, Philip says, life is best endured for an hour, 2 max, before you should take a break. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, I tell you what. When I was in my aforementioned jobs that you're happy to have left, the office job, and I was just kind of grinding out the bathroom breaks just to have something to get up and do.
Mm-hmm.
Every couple of hours. Oh man, so I kept myself very well hydrated, so I could justify just getting up and walking, taking a quick break for a little bit.
Yeah. Mine is actually pretty close to that. Like, I can't draw it to a particular game, but one thing that has been useful for me is to understand that there is always another quest. To put it in dorky, like just in game terms, there's always another game too. There is no sense putting your head down and barreling into a miserable task or situation that you will get nothing out of. There will generally be a time later when it will be more efficient to spend your energy, or a different direction where your energy will be spent more efficiently, whether that is, trying to find a way around, doing the Capra Demon boss fight in Dark Souls, or picking a different quest on The Witcher or something like that. No, just you have to listen. You have to listen to yourself and be smart about what you tackle and when. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jala, how about you?
Rest is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get your spells back.
That's it. Like that's literally it. Because okay, you know that I'm very much a type A personality. I do 50 million things. So seriously, it's been a thing that I've had to try to consciously make myself do, is to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is a thing that is true in video games. It is true in real life. And It is like, well, you can't go fight the boss at 70% hit points and, expect to do as well as you would if you had rested first in the town, saved your game. So anyway.
Nice.
Wait, you save your game when you rest? Am I missing something in sleeping?
Wait a minute.
I totally save my game, and then I go to this haunted motel.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Ben, how about you?
Yeah. So maybe lesson of the past is like try and find the best strategy. Like for strategy type games, like usually try and think of what gives you like long-term benefits. I usually try and apply that to like strategies at work as far as like how you should develop yourself and like your professional skills. But I think more recently, I've been watching a lot of Slay the Spire runs from other people. And so kind of contradicting that, try and be open to other strategies that you think might be garbage. Because sometimes people can be very successful with it as well. So
yeah. Nice.
The best strategy is the one that's working.
Yeah. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, mine is around the idea of flow state and just how valuable kind of getting into a flow state when you're working on something is. You see all the think pieces on like once you're interrupted, it takes you 7 minutes to get back into whatever you were doing and all that stuff. And I guess it's a bit ironic because it's not something you can force yourself into, but certainly like you can tell when you're in that place or when you've created the circumstances to allow yourself to get into that place of just being in the groove and hitting all your notes in a rhythm game or kind of seeing the next move coming in a fighting game or what have you. That's hypothetical. I've never seen the next move coming in a fighting game.
Yeah.
But that flow state that games are so good at creating is something that you can hone and get good at getting into and apply to pretty much any task that you just need to be able to crank on. And then, there's something inherently enjoyable about it, where even if it's a mundane task, being able to get into a flow state while you're doing it is kind of fun.
Yeah. Recognize it, cultivate it. Nice. Well, thank you, everybody, for writing in. Thank you, Dennis, for putting up that prompt. If you would like to participate in these in the future, go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games that are exciting to us. Jala, what is going on with video game spending in the U.S.?
Not surprisingly, people are spending a lot of money on video games because they can't do anything else right now.
Yeah.
So we have reached its highest point, the highest point in video game sales for the first half of the year since 2010. $6.6 billion this year. In 2010, the first 6 months totaled $7 billion. I don't know what was going on in 2010. I have no recollection at this time. However, it still, was higher then, even than now with COVID, which is actually kind of surprising. What was going on in 2010, guys? Anyway, so the sales are up this year by 20 to 25% throughout the various months up through June, the end of June. And also with the new consoles coming out later this year, 2020 might actually be like the biggest fiscal year the gaming industry has seen in quite some time. So I don't know that that's necessarily going to cause any kinds of new developments per se with anybody, but like with video games in general or with studios and stuff. But hopefully at least the people making the video games are given sane working hours or something like that in compensation.
Hopefully. If David was here, he would rain on the parade and say, no, that will never happen.
Yeah. I know. He definitely would. But I was just trying to throw in some kind of ray of hope, guys. That's all.
And I was just importing a rain cloud. Don't worry.
Yes.
I make sure we get a handle. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for 2010 in video games, and there's not much that I've seen in the way of there being not really an especially big title. There were no systems launched, obviously. I have no idea what kind of stuff factors that in. There's an awful lot of high profile iOS stuff that was launching around this time, but I think that it literally just might be the console cycle reached a point where it was mature enough and there were enough games out and people who may have waited were jumping in.
It might have been. But also in like the end of 2008, beginning of 2009, we did have that recession. So maybe that was like the bit of bounce back. I don't know.
It was like a dead cat thing, or maybe instead of more costly like vacations, people might have like, you know, used that money to get stuff they could do at home, possibly.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Well, anyway, the point is if people be spending some money on those games, you know, and they might be like by the end of the year, like it'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully it can become some prosperity for some of the people who do very hard work on these.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I'll do mine here real quick. A game that I really enjoyed last year was it last year or this year that I played it? Time is Meaningless. But Blasphemous, an independent Metroidvania style kind of thing, although it was closer to like a Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest kind of deal. Very good, very beautiful pixel art, by which I mean hideous monstrosities shown. We played and covered this on Bonfireside Chat. We have a release date for their big update that is coming out. So on August the 4th, their kind of expansion free update thing called The Stir of Dawn is going to be put out. It's going to add New Game Plus. It's going to add fast travel, which is desperately needed in this. It's going to add some challenge modes if the game is not hard enough for you already. And it will also add and change some of the NPCs and story kind of stuff. Just kind of adding new content and things like that to make it, to make it a game you want to go back to, which is interesting to me. And boy, that's coming out like right away. August the 4th is not that far away. So
oh, wow. I'm
going to have to fire that up because Blasphemous is a good game.
Yeah, this looks gorgeous.
Yeah. Like legitimately some of the best pixel art and animation that I have seen in video games. Very effective horror, extremely good body horror present here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's mine. Dennis, what is going on with Overcooked?
Yeah, I tried to think of the most tonally different game from Blasphemous and landed on Overcooked. So Overcooked is a game that is near and dear to my heart, both 1 and 2. And now those two are being combined into one. So for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, they are releasing or re-releasing the game as Overcooked All You Can Eat, which is, I love creative remake and sequel titles. That's a good one right there. So it's 1 and 2 smashed together. I don't know why you would want this, but rendered in 4K, 60 FPS and all that stuff. Like, it's a pretty cartoony game to start with, but I'm sure it will look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you will be able to buy it once and get everything that they've done, which is really cool. And some of their most creative and best levels are in DLC that we've played. So that's exciting to see.
Yeah.
The one other thing that's interesting about this is, in addition to some online multiplayer modes that they're going to have, the big things they're adding is accessibility options.
Okay.
And so just ways to play with how fast recipes time out within a round, how long rounds overall last, and the option to skip a level if you're just completely stuck on it.
Nice.
Which is nice. Like it's a challenging game and it requires coordination. I could imagine, particularly if you're trying to play it solo, it's really, really hard. So it's nice to see them making those nods. And it's coming out with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X later this year. And that's the first time I've read later this year and really processed like, oh yeah, that's kind of right around the corner.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Won't be here right or quite as quickly as Blasphemous, but it will be here quickly.
Yeah. This makes sense too, based on what you said about the experience of jumping into Overcooked 2 without having finished the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems reasonable to make it one big game so people do not get into the deep end.
And they definitely, you'll be able to kind of almost play it as one game pretty seamlessly.
Nice.
I think that'll make a lot of sense to people.
Yeah. Very cool. I thought of you when I saw that headline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Got nothing.
Attaboy. How do you guys feel about buttoning it up?
I feel buttoned.
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to this, level number 337. Wow, that's a big number. We appreciate you taking the time. We hope that you are being safe, that you're taking care of yourself and each other, because, I don't know, things are pretty scary. It feels weird saying that so far into this, but things are not getting less scary, let's say.
Nope.
No. So please be safe. There are things you can do. You know what you can do. Listen to this, iTunes, Patreon, all those kinds of things. But most of all, make sure you can come back and listen next week. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
No.
Okay. I have been Cole Ross. You can see my tweets on Twitter at Cole Ross.
I've been Dennis Fury. You can see my tweets on Twitter at Deck of Wonders with underscores between the words.
I'm Jala-chan in places. You can find me there.
And I'm Ben Merkel, and you can't see my tweets because I don't tweet anymore.
Oh, yeah. And stick around for some titles. And as I said, oh yeah, like that was the way this show ends, and it doesn't. It doesn't end that way.
That's how it begins.
Yeah.
This was the pre-roll.
As he busts through the wall.
Oh yeah. When I got up to get water, I slammed my foot into a fan and my knee into the.
You.
Yeah, no, that was me. Yeah.
I heard cursing and a loud noise,
Yep.
and I was like, I think.
It was
Somebody has just had a debacle.
Yeah, it was dark in the room. I slammed my foot into a fan and my knee into the door jamb. Yeah, it sucked, but I'm fine. I just you can direct your sympathy cards. I only have one title. Commit to horse.
I have some.
Okay, Joe.
We have quotas to meet, son.
Okay.
And the reckoning, but wreck as in get wrecked. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I had the reckoning as well. That was my one that I captured.
Okay. How is that spelled?
Yeah, WRECKONING.
Gotcha.
At least that's
All
how
right.
I stylized it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Was that all you had, Dennis?
That was my one.
Okay, Ben?
I'm in trouble because you said something cool, and I laughed so hard that I was like, oh, that'll be the title. I won't write it down, and I forgot it.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I mean, seems to be the reckoning wins by votes.
We'll all kick ourselves when we remember what the thing was earlier.
Yeah.
I actually really prefer we have quotas to meet, son.
We did laugh at that more.
That was a lot funnier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's more pertinent to like the overarching stuff being discussed in the episode.
Yes. Okay. I agree with you on that.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Okay. Ben? Going once, going twice.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Because you didn't write it down, Ben.
I know.
You could have fixed this. You could have you could have avoided this. All right. So it is we have quotas to meet, son.
Ew.
Woo.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah.